Okay, children, today we'll move on to our next lesson from the textbook Footprints Without Feet. The second lesson from the text is titled The Thief's Story by Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond was born on 19th May 1934. He is an Indian author of British descent. He lives with his adopted family in Landour, Missouri, India. The Indian Council for Child Education has recognized his role in the growth of children's literature in India. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1999 and the Padma Bhushan in 2014. To name few of his works are The Cherry Tree, Rusty Runs Away, The Blue Umbrella. This lesson will be divided into two. From page number 8 to page number 10 will be part 1 and from page number 10 to page number 12 will be part 2. So we'll do the first part now. Now this particular story, The Thief's Story, is a quite interesting one. It is about a young boy who meets a man and he befriends this man and he tries to take the man's, tries to impress the man, and this young man is quite, kind, that he trusts this young boy and he takes him or employs him. Let's see whether this young boy keeps the man's trust or betrays him. I was still a thief when I met Anil, and though only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Anil was watching a wrestling match when I approached him. He was about 25, a tall, lean fellow. Lean means thin. And he looked easygoing, kind, and simple enough for my purpose. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. So we get to see that the narrator of the story is a young boy of about 15, and he says how at that particular time he was a thief and he was quite experienced and had a fairly successful hand. Fairly successful hand means he was quite good in his profession, which is stealing. Okay, and he meets a man named Anil, a 25-year-old man named Anil at a wrestling match, and the boy found that Anil was quite kind and simple and easygoing, so he was sure that he'll be able to take probably fool Anil. Okay, so he wanted to take Anil into confidence, and because he was not quite lucky enough to fool anybody and steal money, so probably he wanted to impress Anil. You look a bit of a wrestler yourself, I said. A little flattery helps in making friends. Flattery means insincere praise. Okay, flattery, you flatter someone when you want to get something done from them. Okay, so you try to give all false praise on that person. So do you, he replied, which put me off for a moment because at that time I was rather thin. Well, I said modestly, I do wrestle a bit. What's your name? Hari Singh. I lied. I took a new name every month. That kept me ahead of the police and my former employers. Now, if you notice here, the narrator has taken or given a false name to Anil when Anil asks his name, and he gives you a reason why he does that. Now, every month he used to take a new name because that helped him in saving himself from the police and his former employers, or employers are people who had given him a job. So all those former employers who had employed him, he could escape from them. Okay, so each time each month he took a new name. You can make a note of that in your textbook. You can underline that point. I took a new name every month. That till the end, former employers, please note it in the textbook. After this introduction, Anil talked about the well-oiled wrestlers who were grunting, lifting and throwing each other about. I didn't have much to say. Anil walked away. I followed casually. So Anil just talks about the wrestlers and or what they were doing, and Hari didn't have anything much to say. So Anil just walks away, and Hari follows him casually, quite naturally. He just follows him. Hello again, he said. I gave him my most appealing smile. Appealing means attractive. I want to work for you, I said. But I can't pay you. I thought that over for a minute. Perhaps I had misjudged my man. Misjudged means to form a wrong opinion about someone. I asked, "Can you feed me?" "Can you cook?" "I can cook," I lied again. "If you can cook, then maybe I can feed you." He took me to his room over the Jamna sweet shop and told me I could sleep on the balcony. But the meal I cooked that night must have been terrible because Anil gave it to a stray dog and told me to be off. But I just hung around smiling in my most appealing way and he couldn't help laughing. So we can see how Hari tries every method to take Anil's confidence, and he offers to work for Anil without any payment, and only thing he asks Anil is for some food. But what Anil tells him is that Anil wants someone who can cook, and Hari lies that he can cook. So it's quite clear from the conversation. So we can see how it's quite funny to see how Hari's cooking was quite terrible, that Anil had to feed the stray dog whatever was cooked by Hari, and he asked Hari to just leave. But Hari was quite persistent that he stood around the place of Anil and he tried to impress Anil with his attractive smile, which obviously impressed Anil, because he was probably must have impressed by the young boy's persistence to stay there. Later, he patted me on the head and said, "Never mind, he would teach me to cook." He also taught me to write my name and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentences and to add numbers. I was grateful. I knew that once I could write like an educated man, there would be no limit to what I could achieve. So, we can see how Anil offers to teach Hari cooking. At the same time, he agrees to educate Hari. So Anil teaches Hari how to write his name and also offers that he will be soon teaching him how to write sentences and to add numbers or to do some maths. So Hari was like, if he got education, or if he was like an educated man, then there will be no limit to what he could achieve in his life. It was quite pleasant working for Anil. I made the tea in the morning and then would take my time buying the day's supplies, usually making a profit of about ₹1 a day. I think he knew I made a little money this way, but he did not seem to mind. So Hari was quite happy working for Anil, and Hari used to make tea in the morning and then he would go for shopping to buy that particular day's supplies, groceries or other requirements, and he would take his own time to go for shopping. And what he used to do was, when he used to go for shopping, he used to take ₹1 out of the money given for shopping. He used to take ₹1 for himself from the money given for shopping. And he says that, Anil was aware of his action. Okay, Anil was aware that Hari used to take this ₹1, but he did not question him, or he did not, he never acknowledged that he was aware of this. Anil made money by fits and starts. He would borrow 1 week, lend the next. He kept worrying about his next check, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. It seems he wrote for magazines, a cure way to make a living. So Anil made money by fits and starts. Fits and starts means on not working on something consistently or for a long period of time. Okay, that is there is no permanency in that particular job. So whatever work he could do, he used to do. So he did not have a permanent job, and what he used to do was, if 1 week he used to borrow money, then the next week he will be lending. So, and he was always worried about getting his next check or payment, and as soon as the payment arrived, what he used to do was he used to go out and celebrate. And Hari also finds out that Anil used to write for magazines, which means that he was an author, and Hari found that it was a cure way. Cure means strange. It was a strange way of earning a living. One evening, he came home with a small bundle of notes saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night, I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. I had been working for Anil for almost a month, and apart from cheating on the shopping, had not done anything in my line of work. I had every opportunity for doing so. Anil had given me a key to the door, and I could come and go as I pleased. He was the most trusting person I had ever met. So Here we can see how Anil comes home with a small bundle of notes, and he informs that he had sold a book to a publisher. Now, publisher is someone who publishes a book. Hari notices that Anil had tucked the money under the mattress, and it was almost a month since Hari had been working for Anil, and other than cheating on the grocery shopping, the shopping money that Anil gave him, not done anything in his line of work. Now, what is Hari's line of work? Hari's line of work is stealing. Line of work is your profession. Okay, and right now Hari had all the opportunity to steal from to steal. Okay, and Hari also had a key to the door which was given to him by Anil, and he could just walk in and walk out as he pleased. And he says that Anil was the most trustworthy person he had ever met. Can you please note it in your textbook? He was the most trusting person I had ever met. That's a very important point. And that is why it was so difficult to rob him. It's easy to rob a greedy man because he can afford to be robbed, but it is difficult to rob a careless man. Sometimes he doesn't even notice he's been robbed, and that takes all the pleasure out of the work. Well, it's time I did some real work. I told myself, I'm out of practice. And if I don't take the money, he will only waste it on his friends. After all, he doesn't even pay me. So, Hari gives you reasons as to why it is difficult to rob Anil. One, Anil is a very trustworthy person. Now, let's look at the next reason why he can't rob Anil. Now, he says how it is quite easy to rob a greedy man because a greedy man can always afford to be robbed again, because a greedy man, what does a greedy man do? A greedy man will acquire more and more. He will try to gain more and more. Whatever he has lost, if he loses something, he'll gain double or triple of what he has lost. Okay, but what happens when it is a careless man? Now, Hari says the problem with careless man is sometimes this careless people or careless man does not even notice that that person has been robbed, and that kind of takes all the pleasure out of the work. Okay, so he says how robbing a careless man was like, it does not give any pleasure to the thief in stealing money or stealing anything from a careless person, because that person is not never going to notice that that person has been robbed. And he also says that then he decides then it's time to do some real work, and he kind of tells himself that he's out of practice. So he tries to justify his actions by claiming that if he doesn't take the money, then obviously Anil is going to waste it on his friends. He'll just go out and celebrate that money. So and he also gives one last justification which he feels is right to take that money, is that Anil does not pay him. Okay, with this we come to the end of part 1. Thank you, children.